guys, Hyde here, and welcome to another video. In this video, me and Jekyll, the two creators of this channel, have each designed zb1's debut album. We both watched Boys Planet together pretty religiously, and we are both really excited and apprehensive about the direction this group could take as the leaders of the emerging 5th generation of K-pop. For this video, we each constructed our vision of the overall concept of their debut mini-album, as well as a track list. We decided to have no limits in terms of the number of tracks or the concept, and went entirely based on what we personally thought best suited the members. Just as a side note, we wrote our scripts before zb1 released their teaser, so we haven't been influenced by that at all. So without further ado, let's get into the video and my vision for zb1's debut. Okay, so the first thing I thought about when designing zb1's debut was the overall concept, as it relates to both the music and the styling and visuals of the release. In terms of vibe, zb1 is split between mostly bright members and a few members that favor more sexy or edgy concepts like Ricky, Jiwoong, or Gunwook. This debut should accommodate the personalities of these different members seamlessly. Another key element of zb1's musical concept is that it has to be a complete reset of what we saw in 4th generation boy groups. Because 4th gen boy groups were pretty weak, there isn't really an established meta of current musical and visual trends that could be extrapolated upon to build a trendy new group which is also solid musically. After a few early successful artists like Stray Kids and ateez, 4th gen boy group music stagnated to the point where I'm not really sure about where it could go next. zb1 has to completely separate themselves from the 4th gen boy group sound, so we're going to avoid rap-heavy verses, the fixation on atonal compositions, and certainly no beat drop choruses. And so putting this together, for their musical identity, my version of zb1's debut album will feature EDM and synth pop tracks with luscious synthetic layers and intricate details to the production. Most importantly, the whole album will be sonically cohesive. If I had to pick a few key words to describe their concept, it would be vibrant, exuberant, and dramatic. So with this context, let's get into the tracks that I chose. For the lead single, I picked Shangri-La by vjsn. This song perfectly fits the parameters I talked about before. It has a unique concept both sonically and visually that will separate zb1 from their 4th gen predecessors. Its concept is dramatic, but not in an edgy way, meaning the brighter members will shine, showing off their vivacious charms, and the darker members can play off Shangri-La's intensity and feelings of yearning. I can really see all of the members excelling in this elegant, energetic concept. Shangri-La has a lot of beautiful, lush melodies which will show off the vocal members of Taeyeon, Jinghao, and Hanbin. Given zb1 has a lot of talented vocal members compared to other 4th and 5th gen groups, this is really important. Musically, Shangri-La features well-developed melodies in the chorus and not the repetitive chanted or beat drop choruses which are popular to target the TikTok audience. The elegant and colorful styling will make their stages vibrant and unique compared to most K-pop releases from both boy and girl groups at the moment. Beyond fitting the members, Shangri-La is just a gorgeous song which develops in such satisfying ways. And because it is such a refreshing and novel release in all regards, I could see this being popular amongst the K-pop community as a whole and the general public as well, and really setting a new direction for the 5th generation of K-pop boy groups.
Cause you know I'm a royal, diamonds in the gold. Do it like a royal. 그게 나라고.
The next track on the album would be Royal by IVE, and zb1 would promote this alongside Shangri-La. Musically, this song also has dense synthetic layers like Shangri-La, so it will transition really nicely. Relative to Shangri-La, Royal's more prominent bass lines and sultry chorus melody project a more sexy concept, so promoting this alongside Shangri-La will allow zb1 to show their versatility as performers. And I chose this specifically for the edgier members like Ricky and Gunwook, who perhaps don't fit the Shangri-La concept as well as the rest. Following Royal, the next track on the album would be Asteroid by On and Off. This track is higher energy and fast tempo, and transitions the album towards a more cutesy and light aesthetic, which it will maintain for the rest of its runtime. Asteroid has a lot of incredible detail in its production layers from the amazing Hwanghyun of Monotree, so musically builds on the subtlety of Shangri-La. I liked having 3 energetic songs of Shangri-La, Royal, and Asteroid to start the album to increase the performance potential of this album in special stages, concerts, and similar settings. The 4th track on the album would be Oh My by 17. Oh My marks a sort of halfway transition in the album. It maintains the layered, intricate production of the previous tracks, but it steps back on the energy into a relaxed synth-pop sound. This segues the energy of the album for the last 2 tracks. Oh My has a lot of potential to be performed in special stages or concerts because it has a sincere and cute sound, which is something core fan bases of groups really enjoy. The 5th and penultimate track will be Incomplete by On and Off. I know, another On and Off track. I didn't want to include 2 songs from the same group, but I felt that both this and Asteroid were irreplaceable, so I just kind of had to keep it in. Incomplete is a gentle synth-pop track, which I would describe as sensitive and emotional. Again, it follows the album theme of being composed of intricately produced layers of synths. By this point, the album has created an experience for the listener which is dreamy, synthetic, and colorful.
Don't stop the music, 왜 멈춰 있어 춤추듯 돌아가 Life is a party so 딱히 뭘 안 해도 TikTok, TikTok Life is still going on 그저 흘러가.
The final track of the album is going to be Life is Still Going On by NCT Dream. Sonically, it is a little bit of an outlier from the rest of the album. An insistent trap beat replaces the layered synthetic soundscape. However, I think the mallet instrumental sample used throughout connects to the bright, dreamy vibe for the rest of the album and makes this song really fit in. I really like this track as the album's closer because it has a sense of finality and rest, which will make the rest of the album sound really put together and a cohesive listening experience. Okay, so I lied. Jekyll reminded me after I finished my script that Jang Hao needs a solo track as part of his benefit of being the center. So the actual last song on my zb1 album would be a special track for Jang Hao's solo, and it would be Done by wjsn. This sexy dance pop track has sections where Jang Hao can display his talent as a performer and other parts in which he can show off some slay vocals. Because the rest of the album is energetic, a more sultry, sexy song for Jang Hao's solo will add some much needed variety. So, that's my vision for zb1's debut album. Let me know what you think about it, both sonically and conceptually, and whether or not you think it's a good overall direction for the group. So now, let's hear what Jekyll created for them.
So like Hyde, in designing zb1's debut, I first acknowledged that the group has some members that suit brighter concepts and others that suit darker ones, and that I need to accommodate these into one sound for the whole group. I do also somewhat agree on the point that if zb1 is to stand out amongst the sea of 4th and now 5th gen boy groups, they need a sound that is somewhat unique in the landscape. However, unlike Hyde, I'm currently unable to let go of my very strong desire for this group to have a cute concept, and I'm also a sucker for a fun summer EP. So, my version of zb1's debut album features songs that make the listener feel like they're the protagonist in a bright, bubbly summer adventure. So my first track is Bungee by NCT Dream, which is a B-side that would lead into the promoted single. I think it fits well with the brighter and funkier sensibilities of this EP and just works to ease the listener into the rest of the tracks. In terms of concept, there are moments where members who suit lighter concepts can shine and moments where members who suit darker concepts can shine. And I think this plus the opportunity to also showcase both vocal and rap could make this track an appealing start to the album and a great way to hook listeners into a new sound. Bungee is supported by strong, colorful production, courtesy of the genius producing duo Moonshine. I'd love to hear more of this sound in K-pop, and I think zb1 would do a great job with a song like this. single, I picked Thrill Ride by the Boys. Like Bungie, I feel like Thrill Ride does a good job balancing different sensibilities under catchy, fun production. In Boys Planet, all of my favorite stages tended to be the ones with this kind of sound, tending towards the brighter side with lots of fun synth and generally a more bouncy and colorful texture all around. Thrill Ride does sit more on the cute side, but zb1's member lineup is versatile enough that even members that aren't necessarily best suited for cute concepts would still suit this, and I think that would also allow the group to pull this really bright energy into a more centered space that could draw in new listeners who maybe aren't super into the bright concept. Personally, I also think Taeyeon would super slay this concept, and for that alone, I would love to see something like this for zb1. And as someone who isn't the biggest fan of EDM and hip-hop, I also desperately want to hear a brighter, bouncier sound in the 4th and 5th gen K-pop boy group space. And who better than zb1 to lead this charge? Thrill Ride is full of great hooks and melodies and is catchy enough to stick in your head after a few listens. All in all, I think it would make a great title for zb1's debut album. Next, we go to CIX's Genie in a Bottle, which I'd imagine would be promoted alongside Thrill Ride. To be honest, I picked this song with vocal line in mind, specifically Hanbin. I really think concepts like this suit him. He has this energy about him that really fits funk, and I really would like to see more of that. And I'd like to think of this song as kind of the climax of this album. It's the fastest paced song in this EP, and it builds well on the momentum from Bungie and Thrill Ride. And of course, there's also a great opportunity for a dance break before the third chorus that I think zb1 could absolutely slay.
I want you to love me now. I want you to love me now.
So fourth up is NCT 127's Love Me Now. So as a whole, I pictured this release as less of a sonic concept and more of a linear storyline. And at this point, we're transitioning from the highs of a fun summer day into the sunset and the night. A dance pop track that hinges on a lot of dreamy synth, Love Me Now does a really good job of settling the energy from the previous tracks into something almost nostalgic, while still keeping that sense of forward motion and anticipation. The EP isn't quite done yet, but the audience can kind of sense that it's winding down.
Awesome, 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 awesome,
To wrap up the group tracks, I chose Our Dawn is Hotter Than Day by 17. To me, this song represents the end of the EP's overall story. The day has fully ended, and now all that's left is to sit on the sand and remember it. This may not be the most standout track in terms of production or performance, but I think it still holds merit in the context of the EP because of its finality. It builds on the nostalgia of Love Me Now, while also calming the energy even more. I'd imagine this would be a great song to end a concert, and to just listen to while you reminisce about all the good times. The third chorus is more chanted than sung, with contributions from all members. I like that it ends the album with a sense of finality, and also togetherness. This would be a perfect way to close out this EP. And since Hyde and I agreed to put these at the end, the album officially concludes with the promised Zhanghao solo track, Candy by Baekhyun. I think the high, floaty synth against a more laid-back bass really matches well with the sonic concept that I have going for the rest of this album. It maintains that sense of brightness and cuteness, while also having a richer edge to it, which matches how I feel about Zhanghao doing a bright concept. Zhanghao is also a more than capable vocalist, and I think he would really do well with a song like this, which allows him to both sing and perform at equal levels. So that's my version of zb1's debut album. Between Hyde and I, who do you think did a better job, and what are your thoughts about their upcoming debut? Let us know in the comments. That's it for this one. Jekyll and Hyde out.